We've had a good week off. Thought we got some things done this week. Really, from a physical nature, this is probably one of the most physical week off we've had since I've been here. And I thought our players really responded to it, embraced it. It's where we've got to get better, particularly on offense. We got to play much more physical than what we have been. And again, I think our players really embraced that. I think these guys want to be a good football team. It's just a matter of doing it and getting out and doing it on a Saturday. And so we'll see if we made that improvement this Saturday. Playing a very good football team. Obviously had a big win at UNM last week. Liberty's a team that has, and a program that I know not many people here are very familiar with them, but they have tremendous resources. They have a lot of money in their football program. They've made a tremendous commitment to football there. And it's going to be a really good FBS football program. It's not going to take them long, as you can see, to get up and running. They beat Baylor last year, beat UNM this year. They're a talented team, very well coached. Turner Gill, their head coach, he was the head coach at Buffalo when I was at Kent State, so we played against each other several times. A lot of respect for Turner, not only as a coach but as a man. He really does things right and does things well for his players. I think he's a great role model for players and coaches. So with that, we'll take any questions.
Did them playing UNM, I mean, obviously you played UNM recently, did that give you a good look for what they can do on offense and what they want to do on defense at least?
Yeah, I think especially with UNM changing their style of offense, it helped us a lot more. Had they just been running the option like they had in the past, it wouldn't have helped us as much. But being able to see them really play more like we do on offense now was very helpful. Obviously they did a great job offensively throwing the football on UNM. UNM played a lot of press man coverage and put them in a lot of one-on-one situations, and Liberty took advantage of that. The other thing was, UNM turned the ball over a lot. I think 4 interceptions, and that's what you can't do. That's what we did against UNM, and you can't do that and beat anybody. So, again, hopefully that is a good sign for our players to see if there's a good football team coming in here.
You talked about addressing physicality, but before the open week, you also talked about just offensively throwing the football down the field and improving there. Do you feel like just after the points that they scored and the yards that they put up on the season, are you capable of going in a shootout? Is that kind of the game you expect, or do you need to control the ball a little bit?
Well, I mean, that's what we're going to find out. We've got to score points to win games. We haven't been scoring enough points this season so far offensively. We got a special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown in our last game that got us over the top. So we've got to get to where we're scoring points on offense. And, again, that's what we're going to find out. And a lot of it was because of the physical nature of how we were playing. We just weren't playing physical enough again to make that point. But, I think we made some progress this week. We've got to make some progress. Last week in the off week, made some progress. We've got to make progress this week in practice and see if we can go out on a Saturday and do it in a game situation.
Are you after watching the UNM game, are you expecting up and down, game, back and forth, or what would you say?
You never know what you're going to get from these games, Jason, honestly. I mean, I'm sure UNM didn't expect that either. But, you got to be ready for whatever happens. Some days you go out there and you're just playing great defensively, and like we did against UTEP, and you can call the game a little bit different offensively. Some games you go out there and you're having a hard time stopping the other team, and you've got to open it up offensively and score more. So you've got to play off of each other and to be successful.
Would you like, or maybe see from Adkins kind of in that off week, to see him maybe developing a little bit more as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think, Josh he is developing really at a fast pace and probably ahead of most people I've had at his age mentally. He really understands the game. He studies the game really hard. He's really bright. So, I mean, for a redshirt freshman to be where he is mentally is, I don't know that I've ever had a player as far along as he is right now. I think obviously getting experience and understanding the speed of the game and how fast things happen, that's, continues to be a process that he's going to go through. But I think he's really embracing that well, and he's playing better and better. He played a really good game at UTEP. The last drive we really opened things up because we had to score on that drive, and he responded, made 2 huge throws that helped us get some points on the board there. So that's all he has to do. What we've got to do is we've got to play better around him. Our offensive line has got to play more physical. Our wide receivers have got to play more physical. I think we've been playing pretty good at the running back position, but particularly the offensive line and our wide receivers, we've got to step up and play better.
kind of things that, I mean, you said practice was a little bit more physical the last couple of weeks during the bye week. What kind of things did you do to kind of up that physicality then?
Well, everything we did was good on good. It was our first offense versus our first defense. We were in full pads most of the week. We did a lot of individual drills, one-on-one, to challenge each side. Our wide receivers against our DBs, our offensive line against our defensive line, tight ends versus linebackers, and we did a lot of hitting, more hitting than I've done in most bye weeks. But I think it's something that we need at this point if we're going to get this team where we need to get this team. Another thing is I'd like to see our seniors play better. You want your players to play their best football as seniors. And right now we're not getting that out of this senior class. A lot of them have been injured and missed a lot of games. They're not playing at the peak that they need to play if we're going to be successful. And so that's the challenge to them too, is to step up and play their best football.
Coach, can you talk about some of the improvements made on special teams and on defense? Because looking at the game from UTEP, there was a block punt for a TD, and then on top of that, there was a lot of QB hits on the quarterback.
Yeah, and that's a great point because we have not been – we've struggled in special teams really up until this year. And I think a lot of that is the recruiting process. We've got better players here. We've got more speed here than what we've had in the past. Again, we've done really well with punt returns, and the punt block was huge. Kickoff returns has been pretty good. I think we've just gotten overall better, and then we need to be better in the special teams. Defensively, I thought the last two games, the UNM game and the UTEP game, we played physical on that side of the ball. And I thought we started to play like we want to play on that side. And that's where the sacks and those type of things are coming from because, again, we're playing a more physical style, which is what we did last year. We didn't do that the first three games of the year. Our defense didn't play like that. So I thought they've made drastic improvement. Our offense has to catch up to that now.
How would you evaluate your offense in the red zone and your defense in the red zone so far? Are those two areas something that you need to improve on?
I would like to see us with more touchdowns in the red zone offensively than field goals for sure. But I think, we've been okay so far. Defensively, even last year, we didn't play great defense in the red zone. We played really good third down defense, and we were really good taking the ball away last year. And we're kind of headed that way again this year, but you can always improve in that area. Yeah.
Is it going to be weird? I mean, obviously, maybe the second time will be weird, but is it just going to be strange playing a team twice in the season in a regular season?
Yeah, and I don't. This game, Colin, I don't think it'll matter because it's the first game. You just got to do whatever you got to do to win this game. I do think the second game, there's going to be a lot more on the coaches as far as the game plan and how to prepare for that game and what do you want to change from game one to game two and what are you going to leave alone and hang your hat on. So I think that's something we'll address, as we get to the second game. This game, I don't think it matters.
Do you maybe hold anything back this game? Not sure.
We're not good enough to hold anything back, so we're going to have everything we got to win this game. And that's true of every game with us. I mean, it's a razor-thin deal that we play with every week. And, any week can go either way for us. We got to bring our best game.
What stands out to you about Turner Gill's offense, like when you coach against him at Buffalo and since?
Yeah, I think Turner does a great job of putting players in position to make plays. For instance, UNM was playing a lot of press man coverage against them. They've got a really talented wide receiver who's really tall. He's really physical. And Turner put him in every one-on-one situation that he possibly could and had the quarterback convinced he's open throwing the ball. I don't care where the DB is. And again, I think he does a great job with things like that. They'll move that receiver around so that you can't just double him every time. Sometimes he may be in the slot. Sometimes he may be outside. He's a really good quarterback mentor. I think, obviously he played quarterback at Nebraska and was a great quarterback at Nebraska. And he understands how to play the game. And, they don't beat themselves. Teams that he coaches, even at Buffalo, they would not beat themselves. You had to go and score on them. You had to beat them. They weren't going to give you turnovers. They weren't going to give you screw-ups in special teams. They're always a really well-coached outfit.
What about defensively? What do you see? They give up a lot of yards on the ground, it seems like.
Yeah, it's a little bit deceiving because they played Army. When you play a wishbone team that's going to run the ball every snap, your run stats are not going to look as good as what probably they would otherwise. And Army's an excellent football team. I mean, they took Oklahoma down to the wire. So, it's a little bit skewed in that area. I thought they defended the run pretty well against UNM, and UNM had a hard time throwing the ball on them to loosen up and get the running game going, and that was kind of the difference in that game.
What's Terrell Hanks' status for this week moving forward?
Yeah, we got good news on Terrell is he is not going to have a surgery. That's kind of what we were worried about. I don't know that we'll have him back this week. I think we'll definitely have him back after this, but it's just getting the swelling out of his ankle and getting him back to full speed. So, but like I say, the good news is no surgery, so we know we're going to get him back. It's just a matter of when he'll be healthy enough, but I don't think it'll be this game.
Ken or Danny, you got any questions for Doug?
Yeah, Coach, you talked a little bit about trying to be more physical, particularly on offense. Does that refer to the running game? Is that something that you guys really want to establish in this game?
Yeah, it's not really the running game, Ken. It's just how we're playing. Like I don't like the way our receivers were blocking on the perimeter. I don't like the way we were competing for balls one-on-one on the perimeter in the passing game. I don't think our pass protection was physical enough, and I don't think we're physical enough just one-on-one run blocking with our offensive line. I think we've just been a really passive, tentative group, and we got to get rid of that. You can be a throwing team and be a physical football team. Washington State's a great example of that. They just beat Utah last week with 0 yards rushing. But Washington State plays physical. I mean, they really do. You watch their offensive line and pass protection, they are physical. And Utah's a really good football team. So to be able to go do that, you've got to be a physical football team to be able to play like that and still score points and win. And it's not run or pass. It's just the mentality that you play with and the aggressiveness that you play with. And I really haven't been happy with our offense as far as being tough enough yet.
Are there other injuries, Coach, for Saturday?
Deshaunte Lloyd is healthy. He's back. Will be in practice this week. He came out of the game last week, so we're good with him. Demby is questionable again. He's having a little bit of the same problem he had with the stinger. So other than that, I think we're actually really in good shape.
I saw Bello was on the 2 deep.
Yeah, Bello actually is going to start at right guard, and that's not an injury issue. That's why, he's just playing better than Sebastian Anderson right now, especially from the physical standpoint that we talked about. So we're going to give Tony an opportunity to go in there and play, and he's done really well this week off. And I expect him to practice well this week, and hopefully that'll give us a little bit more physical nature that we need up front.
I think Hughes missed some practice too last week.
Yeah, Anthony had a hand that was bruised and swelled up, so we held him out a couple of days, but he was back Sunday in practice. Yeah.
You mentioned the resources, Coach. You can't really compare the two independent schools, right? I mean, they're making a transition, but they have the resources. Does that kind of give them an advantage, as they move forward as an independent program?
Well, anytime you have the resources that Liberty has, I mean, that's an advantage over what we're dealing with right now. I mean, they've got a tremendous recruiting budget. They're paying their coaches really well, so they're able to keep and retain coaches. Their facilities are as good as any Group of 5 anywhere. I mean, anywhere. I mean, I've been to Liberty and seen what they've got there. Their weight room, their practice facilities. I mean, they are gearing up and have geared up for some time to be a really good FBS football program. That makes it a lot easier to recruit quality athletes when you have those type of facilities. And, and hopefully we can continue the success here that we had last year, Jason, and win, and even this year, put another winning season up. But eventually we're going to have to make the commitment that we're going to keep up with everybody else facility-wise too, if you want us to be able to continue to win and to be able to attract the players that we need to attract. We've done some nice things here. The weight room is as good as anybody in the country in Group of 5, but we've got some other areas where we've got to, we're going to have to increase things if we're going to be able to sustain, what we're trying to sustain.
Do they have depth issues? Sometimes when a school makes the jump, their first 11 are just as good as whoever they're playing, but sometimes they have you noticed depth issues for this team yet? Or?
Yeah, that may be the case because the scholarship numbers are so different when you move up. But I don't think that they've had any injuries so far that would expose that, if that was the case. I really can't answer that for you because I haven't seen where there's a real weak area because of any injuries or anything like that. I think most of their guys look like they're pretty healthy and have been playing each week.
We got time for one more question for Coach out here if you guys got one. Ken, Danny, you got any more questions for Coach?
Yeah, just one more. I mean, having seen Liberty last week, and especially on the offensive side of the ball, obviously UNM had a terrible time trying to stop them. How do you guys approach them? I mean, that quarterback looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think, you've got to do a nice job of mixing things up. You can't just sit there and play man coverage all day. They will throw the ball up to that big receiver and make plays, and you've got to be able to show different coverages, different fronts. You got to be able to get pressure on the quarterback, but you've got to be wise in how you do it. You can't give them all those one-on-one opportunities because they will take advantage of that. So I just think it's really important that, number one, we get out there and we play physical and stop the run. And number two, we come up with ways to get to the quarterback. You got to get the quarterback on the ground.
Coach, going into
Thanks, Coach.
Liberty, the win you got a few weeks ago, was that so definitely needed for that momentum push going into an off week and into this home game?
Yeah, Tom, I don't think there's any question. It's really difficult to go into an off week with a loss, and it's even more difficult if you haven't won your first game. So that was a big win for us. We hadn't won in El Paso since 2008, so I don't want to minimize what we did, and that was a great win for our football program. We've beaten them twice now, so I don't think that's happened since 2007, 2008. And I told our team, you don't ever not celebrate a win, and I don't want it to come off like I'm doing that with these guys. But for us to be successful, we've got to be better, So hopefully that win will help motivate our guys to get another taste of that. But we still got to play more physical than we played against UTEP if we're going to continue to get more wins.